All right, folks, super excited to share today's guest. I've got Ashling, one of my online clients. We've been working together for just over 6 months, and she's gotten some incredible results to date. So I just wanted to get her on to share her experience, and hopefully you guys will get some value from what she has learned at this point. So Ashling, really appreciate you taking time. I know you're very busy. You're a PT as well. Why don't we just start? Tell people a bit about yourself. Like, what do you do? What's your situation? Where are you based? And we can go from there.
Yeah, so I suppose the first thing is that I'm a mother. So I have two young kids. I have a 2-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. I've been a trainer for about 11 years now, on and off. I've taken a bit of time out with the kids when they were younger, but I pretty much have been working consistently as a trainer for the last 11 years. I'm based in Drumcondra in Dublin in a gym called Active Plus. And probably the biggest thing for me throughout is just learning how to adapt my schedule with my kids and make myself a priority, I suppose, is my biggest thing that I've learned as a trainer over the years, not only as a trainer, but as a mother, to make time for myself. And with two young kids, it's very easy to get caught up in their schedule and their routine and lack of sleep and everything that goes with it. But making even just 40 minutes a day for yourself is doable and is manageable. And that's, I suppose, my biggest thing that I've learned over the last few years from having kids and being a trainer.
Mm.
Yeah.
Let's kind of jump into around the time that we were maybe talking about the program, or you were kind of just starting to think, okay, I think I need a bit of support and I need a bit more guidance. What was going on then? Like, what were you maybe struggling with then? And what was kind of the driver to actually reach out and get coaching with the program?
I think, to be honest, I was struggling to progress. I have been doing chin ups and dips and trying to improve my mobility myself and I've had used different coaches previously, but I just struggled to progress even further when that ended. So that was my biggest obstacle. And I wanted to go back to the basics a little bit. I wanted to learn a handstand. I wanted to gain more confidence. And I wanted something new. I wanted to learn. I'm a big believer in it. I learn a lot from different people, and that benefits me as a trainer. So, yeah, that was my biggest thing that I wanted to gain from the program, which I definitely did.
Awesome. Okay, brilliant. And then was there any skepticism? Because like I know you are a coach as well, and be as honest as
Yeah,
possible
yeah.
here. I look pretty
I,
sketchy. So like, maybe there was things you're like, okay, maybe this mightn't it's online or certain thoughts that might have gone through your head. So yeah, would love to hear if there was any
yeah,
skepticism.
I definitely am very picky. So like I was as creepy as it sounds, I was looking at you for a while, for a couple
Yeah,
trying to decide whether to reach out or not. And I was kind of just scrolling through Instagram and talking to different people in my gym and just trying to figure out what's best for me. I don't just jump at anything. I definitely am. I sit on it. I think about it. Um, so yeah, I definitely was a bit skeptic, and I've never done the online training really before. So that was new to me as well, and especially with something that's so skillful like the handstand, the muscle up, and could you really see, and all this type of stuff. But it was, yeah, no, it worked out in the end. But I was definitely a little bit skeptic, and I definitely took my time to bite the bullet and just do it. So yeah, definitely a little bit. Sorry, Connor.
no, not, not at all. And it's good, like, also, I think, in particular, if you haven't done online before, like, this is actually a good thing maybe to go into in a bit more detail because I think a lot of people and myself, when I first started, before I did online coaching as well, before working with someone online, I was a bit like, how is it gonna translate? How is it
Yeah.
gonna be as good? So I think it's a really common kind of skepticism to have. Let's kind of talk maybe the initial 8 weeks, 12 weeks into the program. Was there any period that happened that you were like, oh, that you could feel things maybe clicking or you had a breakthrough moment? Anything along those lines you can remember?
Yeah, like I definitely the locomotion stuff I found really difficult. Like I come from a powerlifting background, so I've done squat, bench, deadlift like repeatedly for years. A lot of strength building work, but I was stiff. So I really struggled with the locomotion side of things and kind of sinking down into a squat position like the monkey and stuff. I just felt like a fish out of the water. Like I just felt like an absolute idiot. But eventually it clicked when I'd go to squat and when I'm teaching a class or demonstrating to my clients, I could feel like looser. I could feel better mobility. And that I recognized that in the first few weeks. And it definitely just kind of went on from there. So that was the biggest thing that clicked with me straight away, that I need to do this. I need to stick with this because I am moving better. And that was one of my main goals. So I had to have patience a little bit. So I got there.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember you saying that, just feeling more, because like obviously when you're teaching, you're demonstrating, you're moving in and out of positions, and you were saying that you definitely could feel like moving in and out of squatting and just demoing at work, like it was a much easier process than before when you felt maybe more restricted through the ankles
Yeah.
and the knees, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like, especially in my hips. Like I feel like the shoulder stuff definitely progressed as well, but I definitely felt it most in my hips. And I do think it's coming from that locomotion side of stuff where I was definitely a little bit hesitant to do, but it definitely had a massive benefit just being in that position for so long.
Great. So hips opened up a lot, you feel, and then from I guess kind of a results point of view, because you're kind of 6 months in now, and like we've been talking, I'm like, you've you've really crushed it, which is awesome. But like, maybe tell people like what kind of stuff were you doing before? Because you're already at a pretty high level, like you're already
Um,
doing chin ups, really strong, obviously with the powerlifting background. So maybe talk about what you were kind of able to do, and now what you're kind of doing, or even
yeah.
changes in how you do things.
So yeah, like the chin ups and the dips, I've been doing them for years, and it was always a big goal of mine, especially after both of my kids, to get back doing them. Because obviously I can't do a chin up, a couple of weeks after having a baby. So something that I chipped away and something I was quite precious over being able to do them, and then having someone critique my technique, I found quite difficult at the start. But then when I drove back to basics, I felt better do them. I felt stronger. My chest was up more. And it was great to just be better in those positions and bring it back to basics again, because I've been doing them for so long. You kind of get out of the habit and you're not really as aware. It's like walking down the street, you're just so used to it. When you actually step back and break it down, yeah, it's just nice. And the dips as well, I was arching my back a lot, I wasn't engaging my core. And to be able to bring it back to basics and some of those stuff as well, even though I've been doing them a long time, yeah, it was good, it was humbling, it was nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I think I found as well, just bringing things back to basics a little bit and making sure my form and my technique is good. Because I've just been doing it for so long.
Gotcha. So like technique was tidied up, and then so you
Mm.
feel you can do dips, chin ups, that kind of stuff with better form now.
Form, yeah, and it translates to my clients as well. Like I'm a lot pickier now after the 6 months than I would have been before. I was actually one of my clients, she just got 3 dips yesterday in a row. And she had that hollow body shape. She wasn't overextending. She was
Mhm.
strong. She was still full range of motion. And it's a great thing that I can now pass that on and just maybe have a better eye for things as well with my own clients, not just myself.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And then any other stuff that you can feel more comfortable doing now than before? Maybe even lower body strength work, hand
Yeah.
balancing, this kind of stuff.
Also, the false grip, now that I think about it as well, I was terrified. Like, I found it so painful at the start to have that position. And now I'm so much stronger in it after just bringing things back a little bit more, not just trying to hang from a false grip and just going to the rows first and then building it up. And so that was one of the major things. And then the cyclist squat. That was fun. I
Can you
loved that.
explain? Can you actually just explain what the false grip is for people listening?
So it's when you're like, okay, I'm trying to explain your wrist for the muscle up at the transition of it. It needs to be in a more, what's the way would I say it, more compromised position or more extended position.
Yeah.
Um, just takes a lot. Like it takes a lot of strain, it takes a lot of strength to even hold that position. And it's something that I just could not do. And I've been trying to do it on my own, and it just always was so painful.
Hmm.
But building it up with the rows and stuff at the start, it definitely helped.
Yeah, so like just what Ashley was saying there is where you normally grip the rings or the bar would be kind of around the inner part inside of the knuckles on the palm of the hand, where you might get develop welts, and then you start actually putting the rings on the wrist essentially and curling down. So it's a very uncomfortable position at the start, and now yeah, you're like, I mean, the last videos you sent through, you looked very very comfortable holding the false grip position. You're doing false grip. Are you doing false grip chin ups now as well?
I don't think so.
No, hanging and the else or the
Elsa hold. Yeah, all
yeah,
Elsa hold.
yeah, brilliant. And then cyclist squat. What's happened there?
Just better mobility in my shoulders. So I can now I still have to use the straps to hold on and keeping the elbows out in front. But I just feel so much stronger than I've ever felt with them. And I've done front squats before, but they've never really transitioned very well. I maybe went up to 30 kilos or whatever. But I'm doing 60 odd now for reps, and it feels comfortable. You know, like I feel strong doing them. I don't feel like I'm gonna fall forward or anything like that. Like I feel really sturdy.
Amazing.
And that's the main thing as well, just how I
Great.
feel.
Yeah, that's a big jump from 30 to 60. That's awesome.
And even that 30, like when I look back now, like was the technique really good? You know,
Yeah.
was I feeling good and strong in that position? I don't know. But definitely now, yeah, I feel good. And I really like them.
Yeah,
Something new.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. All right, yeah, fantastic. Like that's, I mean, better overall movement through the hips with locomotion. Kind of like it's not like you're doing vastly different stuff than before, but it's like you've built a really good foundation and base now. Like you said, you brought things back to basics and built them back up in a way that you feel is
Mm.
more like better from a, I guess, a range of motion point of view, better from a technique standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any advice? Like maybe we can talk about one person might be another trainer, maybe, who might be struggling with their own programming. And I think when you're a trainer, you're looking after people. Then if you're a parent as well, like it's all
Mm.
about everyone else versus yourself. So maybe talk about, yeah, someone who's maybe struggling to maybe find time for themselves, or like what advice would you give to that person? Maybe,
Uh,
yeah.
I've become, and it can maybe come across a bit selfish in a way, but I've become really like if I have set my clients have set slots every week, I set myself slots every week. I plan my training in every week. I plan my babysitters around my training. And it's something that I've become really strict with because it's so easy not to do. Like it's so easy just like I don't have the time. That's everyone's seems to be everyone's reason behind not training or not eating right is because I don't have the time. I make the time.
Mm.
And I sit down on a Sunday morning, every Sunday morning with my coffee, and I write down my diary and I schedule everything in. And that's how I'm always guaranteed. And I'll know some weeks I might get 3 sessions in, and that's okay. I know that I'll get 3 in though, if that makes sense. And I have babysitters lined up and I have my food ready. And that's just what works for me. It's like sitting down and planning and making the slots as if you would for someone else. If you have an appointment to go get your hair done, it's the same thing. You slot it in and you make time. And that's I'd be really strict and disciplined in that.
Yeah, that's
Probably
great. And I think also like even more so, it's kind of if people don't know like personal training, you might have technically space and someone could be like, can you put me in there? And it
yeah,
is hard
exactly.
when someone's like, oh, can you get me in at 3 p.m. or whatever? And you're like, well, I kind of can, but then that's really good that you have those boundaries to be like, that's your time, basically.
Yeah. And it like some weeks, if I can jig things around, but once I still get my training session in,
Yeah,
I'm happy. And I always do it before my clients. I very rarely will ever train after them. And that
great.
way I'm fresh and ready to go for the rest of the day. Um,
Yeah, totally. And I'm guessing you're giving a much better service to people then as well, because you
yeah.
feel
And
like you filled up your own tank
yeah,
before everyone else's, right?
yeah. And I've often done training sessions like back to back 5 people and not trained myself that day. And then I'm like, I'm training everyone else and I'm not training me. Like
Mm.
you don't feel as good. Like you feel good. So I go in now at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning and I could be back to back to 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I feel great because I got mine done at 7 a.m. So
Yeah, that's huge. That's a really, really important point. Like just especially, yeah, you have a lot of reasons not to put, 2 kids, running a business,
yeah.
clients, all these things. So it'd be very easy to just be to neglect that stuff. But yeah, that's a really important
Yeah.
point about actually prioritizing it. Let's like obviously you've done the 6 months now, you've gotten the results you've talked about. But you're also a coach. So I think this is actually a really helpful question. So like what who would you say is going to be like a good fit for the program, but also who do you think it mightn't be the best option for them if they're in that situation?
I think everybody can learn something, to be honest.
Hmm.
I am a big believer is and like ever since I've done my personal training course, I've always had more or less a coach. I might have a gap in between while I figure out my next kind of line, but like I've always found that really beneficial. You can never know too much. And regardless of, with the program, like you'll learn something. You'll always learn something. That kind of way you're never not going to learn anything from you. Like there's the locomotion side of things, there's the handstand, there's the strength, there's the weights, like there's a vast majority of stuff available. So I can't see, like, I think it would fit coach. I think it would fit, Joe Soap down the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a good balance between beginner and advanced.
Great. Awesome. All right, Aisling, that's like everything. But I think if you want to recommend, if people listen to the episode and they're like, oh, they'd like to learn maybe more about you or what you do, Instagram, is that somewhere you'd like to
Yeah,
send people?
yeah. Instagram, Ashing Lee's PT. I'm on that, and I'm on Facebook the same. Ashing Lee's PT is where you'll
Okay.
find me.
Okay, awesome. So I'll link that in the show notes. Amazing. And yeah, well done. Like you've absolutely smashed it over the last 6 months. And yeah, you should be very, very proud of your results today.
Yeah, I'm chuffed. I'm chuffed. Thanks so much, Connor.